Hey guys, what's up? How are you all doing? Thanks again for coming back and tuning in. I hope you've all been well. I had every intention of filming this follow-up to my previous video sooner than later. Unfortunately, I got a little bit sidetracked, so I apologize, but I am back today to discuss, I guess, the opposite of what I talked about in my previous video, which is what I don't want to see in The Rise of Skywalker, Reylo. And if you haven't watched that, go check it out. But today, we are going to be flipping the switch and talking about what I actually do want to see in The Rise of Skywalker. So yes, today we're just going to talk about some of the things that I would actually want to see happen in episode 9, or certain characters that I want to maybe make a reappearance. So as I mentioned in my previous video, obviously if none of these things happen, it's not going to ruin the movie for me. I'm not going to be super upset or anything. Yeah, I won't be heartbroken if some of these things don't happen, except for maybe one, and that's the one we're gonna start off with. I want to see Anakin one last time. I cannot express this enough. I'm going to argue very strongly that this character returning is a necessity. Okay, I need to calm down. I have been very open about how much I love Anakin. He is the OG childhood crush for me, and I really want to see him make a reappearance in episode 9. It would just make perfect sense. It would totally bring the entire saga to a full closure. Anakin and his storyline is like the nucleus of this entire operation. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I'm obsessed with Anakin. I'm in love with Hayden Christensen, and I really just would love to see him. Even if we don't get to see him as a Force ghost, even if we just like heard his voice, I would just die. This makes sense. This is a realistic thing, I think, in my opinion, that they could totally do to pay homage to the prequels and just to pay homage to Anakin's story and like his legacy. Like, let me try to just like put it this way. If Anakin is not in episode 9, I will enter an existential fit of rage. I will be hospitalized because my blood will reach its boiling point. I will rocket launch my body off the face of this earth if Anakin is not in The Rise of Skywalker. It's literally his name! I'm gonna move on from this one because I'm getting a little bit too passionate, and I could probably make an entire video of why it would make so much sense and why it would make the movie a bajillion times better than whatever it will be if Anakin is in this final episode. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting worked up because I love Anakin so much, and it would just be so fitting to see him in this final episode. Being the one to teach Rey how to defeat Palpatine, teaming up with Luke, his son. I've said the bulk of my point, which is that I want Anakin to be in episode 9, and if he's not, I will probably cry. Moving on, this one I think is probably not going to happen, but I got the idea for this when I was watching Endgame, seeing that Marvel brought back Natalie Portman to reprise her role, even for just like 30 seconds of screen time. I got the idea, like,
why can't Star Wars do that?
Like Lucasfilm, please? I'm sure this is not going to happen. This is a pipe dream, obviously, but I would really love to see Padme and Anakin reunited in Ghost Heaven or something like that. I think this needs context, so I'll explain. When I watched Revenge of the Sith, I feel a physical pain inside my chest. Like, it's truly hard for me to watch because it's so tragic how Anakin and Padme's love story ends. Maybe this is just me, but do you ever just like go on YouTube and search like Padme's funeral on Naboo and just watch, like, it's like 1 minute and 30 seconds, but I just watch it sometimes randomly just to like make myself cry. Does anyone else do this, like when you need like a cathartic release? So you're like, what's gonna make me cry in 1 minute and 30 seconds? And you're like, oh, Padme's funeral. And you just watch it and you cry? Like, that, is that just me? So yeah, like watching Revenge of the Sith, I almost can't even do it anymore because it's just so hard for me. Fun fact, like the whole week leading up to shooting my scenes for Shards of the Past, I just played Padme's funeral scene like on repeat, and I like listened to the funeral suite score to like get myself in an emotional mindset. Something that I'm personally craving is seeing that closure, that kind of happy ending between Anakin and Padme.
They deserved so much better.
Obviously she's not among the Force ghosts, but maybe she's in some sort of heaven. I don't know. I just want to see them spiritually be reunited. Is that too much to ask for? Yeah, I'm sure that one's not gonna go down. I think that's too big of a dream to have, but I don't know. Seeing her return in Endgame, I was like, why can't Star Wars do this too? Yeah, but at the same time, it also, I think, if we were to visually actually see a reunion between Anakin and Padme, I think it might alleviate some of the bittersweetness that makes watching the prequels like so good, because you just know how it ends and it's so tragic and you just rewatch it because you like crave that pain on the inside. Is that just me? Literally just like, you can CGI Natalie Portman in. Like, you don't even need to bring her on set. Just like CGI her in next to Anakin and I'll be happy. I will be crying. I will be drowning in a pool of like my own tears in the middle of that theater. I think that one's probably like the least likely to happen out of all of my hopes and dreams for episode 9. This one I think is just as unlikely as seeing Natalie Portman come back as Padme, but I would love to see Qui Gon Jinn once more.
My gosh!
I'm getting too excited about all of these. I need to calm down. As many of you know, Qui Gon is my favorite character. He's the best Jedi of all time. I love that man. I can make a whole video about how much I love that man. I just would personally love to see Qui Gon as like the first ever Force ghost. Like that whole arc in Clone Wars. I need to learn more about it. And I personally want to see like every Force ghost possible in this movie. Like, bring back Luke, bring back Anakin, bring back Yoda, bring back Qui-Gon, bring back Obi-Wan.
Bring them all back!
The Mount Rushmore of Force ghosts, as Tom would say. It's only fitting that if they have this whole Force ghost council thing to figure out how to help Rey defeat Palpatine or whatever, I would love to see Qui-Gon. Will they do it? Probably not. But if they do, you can guarantee that I will be freaking out. You all know me as Darth Padme. I have always just had a partiality for the Sith.
I love the dark side.
I feel like this trilogy, out of all of them so far, has the least amount of Sith content. Like, I love when Star Wars gets dark and, like, goes into the dark side and really exposes, like, the Sith. Like, the Sith to me are just so interesting and I love them. Like, if I were in the Star Wars universe, I'd want to be a Sith. So badly. We're kind of, I feel like, deprived of the Sith content in the sequel trilogy. Like, yes, Kylo Ren he's the moody, angsty, he's the closest thing to the dark side that we have as of now, besides Snoke, but obviously that was very short-lived. Now that Palpatine is coming back, I'm hoping that we get, like, a hefty dose of Sith in this final episode. Like, I want it.
I want the dark side.
What I would love to see is if Kylo Ren, if they were to just push his character full-blown, there's no coming back, he is the Sith Lord now, like, if they showed him with yellow eyes, like, oh my god, I would love that. I need someone to have yellow eyes! Yeah, my inner Darth Padme is craving the Sith, so I would love to see more dark side action. Let me know if that's just me, if you also feel like these sequels are lacking, like, dark side content. I don't know, I just feel like Sith is not as prevalent in this trilogy as it is in the others.
Do they even say the word Sith?
Maybe Luke said it. Let me know. This relates to my previous video in which I talked about how I want to feel after episode 9, and I really just want this movie to be an emotional roller coaster. Like, I want to cry. Like, you know how sometimes you want a movie to, like, make you emotional and really move you to the point of tears? Like, I want that to happen. This needs to be like Endgame. If I don't cry at least twice throughout the duration of this movie, then something's wrong. I'm so emotionally invested in this storyline, in these characters, in this whole saga that, you know, perhaps I'll cry just because it's the end. Like, but at the same time, like, I want to cry because it's so moving, and because they wrap it up in such a powerful way by paying homage to the prequels and bringing back characters like perhaps Qui Gon or Anakin or Padme, like, or Obi-Wan even. That, like, if we saw Obi-Wan's Force Ghost again, like, with Anakin's, oh my, and Qui-Gon's too, like,
Oh my gosh.
and I think that's what would be the most moving to me, is if we saw, like, a heavy dose of references to the prequels. Perhaps that's just because I'm a prequel baby. I grew up with them. Those are my favorite ones. And, you know, just, I really want this final episode to just bring everything full circle and just, like, really just pay homage. Yeah, maybe that's a bad thing to want out of the movie experience. Like,
I want to leave sobbing.
but I kind of do. Like, let me know if I'm not the only one thinking this. Perhaps it will inherently be emotional because it is the final episode of the whole entire saga, and I'll just be depressed because I'll have this void within me afterwards. Yeah, if they brought back characters like Anakin or Obi-Wan, or Qui-Gon, I would just be an emotional wreck. And maybe it's bad to want to go into the movie theater with the expectations to cry, but I don't know. That's just me. Let me know if I'm totally crazy on that one, or if you also want to leave feeling emotionally drained afterwards. I didn't really dive that much into Palpatine because honestly, like, I don't know what they're gonna do with him, and I have this fear similar to the one I addressed in the previous video where I talk about how they bring Luke's voice back to narrate all these teasers and trailers, but I'm kind of worried that he's maybe not really actually going to be in the movie at all until, like, one scene at the end for, like, 2 seconds of screen time. I feel similarly about Palpatine. Like, again, I worry that they're bringing him back and kind of promoting this idea that he's going to be in the final episode just to kind of get fans hyped up, because there was a lack of hype around episode 9, and by just playing Palpatine's laugh, it really reinvigorated a lot of the fan base. So I'm just worried that perhaps he's not actually going to be in it that much and they're just using him to get people excited. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't want to make any predictions for how I want them to incorporate him or how I think he's going to be involved in the plot, because I also just have no idea. I guess another big thing that I should mention, I want what we all want by this point. Like, I want to know Rey's heritage. If they don't touch on that, then I just, yeah, I can't even, like, they need to. That's a necessity. But yeah, I think what we all want out of episode 9 is to finally get some answers regarding Rey's parentage and why she is as powerful as she is with the Force. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an obvious one. But yeah, those are just a few of the things that I would like to see go down in episode 9. Could have made a lengthier list, but I honestly, like I always say, I don't want to go in having so many expectations and so many things that I want to happen, because in all honesty, like, probably 90% of the things that I said on this list are not going to happen. Yeah, as I always say, I just don't want to get my hopes up and, you know, go too hardcore in making this huge, extensive list of things that I want to see and none of them happen, because then I will just inherently be disappointed in the movie. That's everything I've got for this round. Let me know if you also want to see any of these things happen, if you think that there's any probability in people like Qui-Gon or Padme coming back, or if I'm just crazy and hoping for too much, which is believable. But if you agree with any of these things, if you would also want to see any of these things go down, then of course let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions. And as I said in my previous video, we all are entitled to our own opinions and our own hopes and dreams for episode 9, and that doesn't mean that we have to go in the comments and shade anybody else for their opinion on what they do or don't want to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen except for the people in the movie and the people in Lucasfilm. So until December comes around, anyone's ideas are fair game. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what videos you want to see next. Halloween is approaching, so I'm kind of in the mood to maybe attempt another Star Wars character makeup tutorial. Hope you guys have been doing well as always, and I hope the Force will be with you as always, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye.